Don't need to see your boobs.
Hey, Fedheads, welcome to the 2015 Cigar Federation recap video of IPCPR 2015. You're here with John, Cigar Surgeon. We've got Jared 007 in the house, and Rob connecting over a very expensive mobile data. What's going on, dudes?
Sweating.
That horn says it all. No, I'm not sweating, dude. I'm inside, bro. It's nice in here. I'm gonna keep moving my camera around and just make everybody dizzy, just like this.
Nice.
Artwork.
Because we keep it professional up in here. No, everything's good, man. I'm still in New Orleans. Been here, obviously, since I've been here for a week now, because we arrived last week. So still here with my wife and hanging out, and got a cocktail going. I can't remember what it is, but it's equal parts bourbon, Benedictine.
Combination between a Sazerac and a Vauquer.
Yeah, it's between a Sazerac and a Vauquer, apparently.
Vauquer.
Vauquer, whatever. It's got an absinthe wash in it. It's actually really good. The bartender here, really good, at the Windsor Court Hotel.
I know me and John went to a bar down there, and I was half surprised, but not completely surprised. It was a bit of a dive bar. The prices and the pours were great, but I was surprised that in New Orleans I couldn't get a Sazerac.
All right, I'll see you in a bit, babe.
So I never did find a Sazerac while I was in New Orleans, of all places.
You know, the first place, where did we go? We went to Hermes Bar, which is connected to what restaurant? Antoine's, which is, I guess Antoine's is kind of a high-end place.
Yeah.
We went to Hermes, which is, Hermes is the bar side of it. And I had a Sazerac there, which was actually really good. And it's funny, John and I went to a Mombacho event when they featured the Hennessy. They featured Hennessy
XO, yeah.
Yeah, the Hennessy 250th anniversary. But the guy from Hennessy there was making different versions of classic cocktails. So he made a Hennessy, a Manhattan. I think he made a Hennessy Old Fashioned and a Hennessy Sazerac. And with the Sazerac, they'll do like an absinthe wash in the glass. So you smell that absinthe, which really smells like licorice. But they did a Lefroy wash, so it really smelled like peat. And it was a really interesting take on that same cocktail. I actually like that version better than the real version. But the Sazerac is a classic cocktail that they have here. I'll keep talking about cocktails and food all day because it's all I've been doing, and alligators and whatnot today. So, John, you got to host this thing because I got a couple drinks under my belt, and I need you to
keep us on point.
Hey, thank you, please. Play my role. I'll be Logan.
Roger that. So we have a ton of questions, but before we get to those questions, maybe we can just take a couple minutes and talk about some of the highlights Rob kind of touched on. Rob and I had a great chance to go to an event hosted by Mombacho, which was really generous of them. They offered cigars, top shelf.
Absolutely.
And I mean, how often do you see a cigar manufacturer cooking food for his guests and slaving all day long to provide? And honestly, the food was, it might have actually been, now that I think about it, that might have actually been the best food we had in New Orleans. Which,
true story.
I don't know if that's a knock on New Orleans or just the fact that we were caught in the hotel, but actually, now that I think about it, that Mombacho food that they created was the best food I had in New Orleans.
I think that's more of a commentary on us being locked in a room trying to get content for everybody, which I'll take blame. We've kind of slacked on the last day or so, yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. They did some really cool recipes that had different tobacco influences. They did drinks that had tobacco influences. I think when they actually did the old fashioned, they put the cocktails in almost like a cake tray. You know those little things they display cakes on where they put the glass over the top so air doesn't get in. But while they were doing that, they were burning some tobacco leaves inside, so they were kind of smoking cocktails. Very, very cool. And Todd White, it was Todd White, right?
Mm-hmm.
The artist was there he's actually designed bottles for Coke and all kinds of stuff. Like, I'm not a big art guy. I mean, when it comes to art, I can talk a little bit about classic, like French art, but not too much. So Todd White obviously is contemporary, but it was really cool. It's a very cool event. Cigar Federation was there. Half Wheel was there. Spent some time chatting with Coop. He was there. Who else? As far as Cigar Media, Cigar Vixen was there. I think that was
Yeah,
it.
Delicia. Yep.
Yeah, I think that was
That's
it.
it?
But it was. Then oh man, the freaking server there. She was so hot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if
That's a whole different story.
I don't know if that's appropriate to mention. My wife's gone, so I can mention. And by the way, there's a lady singing downstairs because they do live music here at the Windsor Court Hotel in New Orleans, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And Thursday, Friday, it's a young lady down there, and she's singing. It's just her and a piano guy. Dude, she's smoking hot. Woo! I just had to tell my wife that she had a really good voice, but wow, she's hot. Anyway,
So on that note, Jared, what were some of the quick highlights, and we'll answer some questions and then get back to more details in the IPCPR about what stood out for you.
Dude, Logan
Oh,
joined. We had
Hold
a
on.
few minutes.
Oh, you pygmy son of bitches.
We had a few minutes
Call
to
me.
make this fun and interesting.
Call
and then
me.
Logan joins.
Hey, listen,
All
dickhead.
downhill now.
Dude, you're just like a drunk Frenchman right now, Rob. You might as well be rolling your
Real, dude.
mustache.
I got a cocktail going. Can I ask a real, actual, like, honest question? Because you guys can see me online. Is it better if I do this like a portrait or if I do it this way? Does this make it? Is this a difference?
That's bigger, yeah.
That's
This
way
is
better.
Oh, this is better.
That way
Okay,
you're like the rest of the group.
I'll do it
Better
this
if you
way.
don't shake your camera, or your phone around a bunch though, like a drunk.
Call me.
Call
All
me.
right. Okay, go ahead. So, Jared, you're talking about John's running this thing because I'm not capable.
You're
Jared,
drunk.
highlights.
Highlights.
What have you guys been doing for 15 minutes? Just dicking around?
Just bullshitting, talking about hot chippies.
Oh, okay.
A lot of hot chippies. That takes at least 15 minutes.
Oh,
It was
absolutely.
way more than 15
Absolutely.
minutes worth. But let's see, highlights. Y'all got me behind the camera.
That was a good interview, man.
Highlight.
No, really,
We
that was a solid interview.
Jared, no, we made fun of Jared because Jared never gets behind the camera, and Akil from Regis he's quiet. He's a soft talker, makes phenomenal cigars, and he's a great guy, and he's very accommodating to us. But he talks very soft, and so
Very soft.
we were teasing Jared that we weren't going to be able to hear anything in the interview, but it turned out pretty well.
Can't get
Well,
past that
yeah.
Cigar Federation mic, man.
I haven't watched it yet. I hate watching myself speak. I hate hearing myself speak. I don't like it. But
So what you're saying is you're going to host Cigar Chat next week?
Absolutely.
I need to get on sharing our pairings. I really do.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do.
Chat, I don't know, but I need to get on a pairing show.
I have an in with the guy who runs that show.
Really? You'll have to hook me up with his name. I heard he was real hard ass, but we'll see.
Yeah, he's a
I
bit of a
heard,
dick.
I heard,
I heard
his
he's a
co-host
weak
is-
Canadian.
I heard his co-host is kind of a drunk.
Oh, both of them were kind of drunk.
It was kind of a sloshed show, really.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm sorry. Let me just sip my Imperial Stout.
Yeah. Okay. We'll bring it back.
Other highlights.
Highlights.
Lagavulin 16 Distillers Edition with Steve Saka was a definite highlight.
Thank
Not
you,
only were
Steve.
The
Yeah,
Scots,
seriously.
but listening to Steve speak, that was pretty crazy. I mean, I listened to him in Nicaragua, what was it, in May when we did Cigar Safari, but still to actually sit there with him more personal was pretty great. I think who else? And we talked to a lot of people that just never gotten to speak to before, bigger people, especially George Padron. So I think the whole show was pretty good considering that we walked our asses off and had one group get almost as many interviews and work done as two groups. So
That's what I was going to say. I'm going to jump in because what the hell?
Who's the weakest link? Catfish. Goodbye.
No. That's not what I'm
I'm
going to get at.
kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm not suggesting that Catfish and Dustin didn't do a good job last year because they did. They hit a lot of groups that we actually didn't hit this year.
Catfish and Dustin, huh?
Yeah, you guys.
Me, myself, and I.
Did
Yeah.
I say Catfish and Dustin?
Catfish,
You did.
Catfish and Jared, you guys did a great job last year. I think we learned a few things this year. We did a really good job as one group hitting. I think we hit almost as many booths and got almost as many interviews. There's a lot of guys we overlooked. Overlooked isn't the right term. There's a lot of guys that we didn't have a chance to get to. On the last day, we chatted with the guys with Cubanacan. I know Phil Zangi over at Debonair is a guy we wanted to chat with. Wanted to chat with Nick Malillo, but he was busy from day one, which you would expect.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys that we wanted to talk to. Like we needed another day and a half to get to everybody. So hopefully by the time we get around to to IPCPR next year, we'll have a few different things in place to help you guys so we can get a little bit more coverage. Mainly someone to help me do some of the interviews because we did. How many did we do, John? 70, and I did what, 64 of them?
Yeah,
At
and
least.
we'll swing
Pointing right
that
at you,
to maybe
Logan.
Yeah, you know what?
What?
Props to Logan for having undoubtedly the best. Maybe not the best is the right word, but the most entertaining
Most memorable.
interview that we've done to date. If you haven't checked it out, check out the the Logan Espinoza interview with Logan Eric Lawler.
Eric Lawler, yeah.
Yeah, who if you check out any interview, you got to check out that interview because that is like I'm still watching it and there's still tears running down my face.
And it was completely ad hoc, too. Like, it wasn't planned. He basically came up to me and said, okay, I'm you, go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no time.
You
to
actually,
prepare.
Logan, honestly, you actually did a great job of knowing what the products were.
I was shooting from the hip, though.
You said them all wrong, but it still worked.
But it was close enough, so I didn't look like
close,
a complete asshole.
Yeah.
No, it was perfect. It played perfectly, man. I'm gonna go. I want to talk about some of my highlights because I gotta bounce here pretty quick, so I can keep my marriage intact. But
Which is unfortunate because there's like 10 questions for Rob, but carry on.
No, well, let's go. Can you ask him?
Yeah, let's get the Rob questions out of the way.
Let's do them while I'm here. Yeah.
Rapid fire.
I can't see him, so holla at me.
Yeah.
Call at your boy.
Call me.
Should I answer him like this? This is like really, really close.
That's way too close, dude.
That's too close. We don't need to get that close to you, bro.
What about like down here?
Okay.
John, it's your ball sack. You are drunk, you fucking.
Well, let's not interview the knot.
All right, so
Let's not interview the knot.
RA Base wants to know, Rob, how tall are you? Willie doesn't seem so tall in the video, which RA Base, first of all, Willie is like the biggest man, like he would kill you with his left hand, first of all,
Willie,
but he's not that tall.
Dude, Willie is a big man.
Omar's a monster.
Omar's a fucking monster.
Yeah, but Willie is a big man.
Willie's a big dude, and he's Willie hits the gym. That's for sure. So does Omar.
Jolly Green Giant.
I'm like 5'10", 5'11" ish. But thank you for the compliment. That's saying that Willie doesn't look that tall in the interview. I'd like to say that I was standing on a box or something, but I wasn't. No, he's a big guy, but Willie's awesome, man. He's intimidating a little bit if you've never met him, but once you chat with him, he's just an awesome guy that loves to talk about tobacco. When I was down on my first cigar safari, we're all in the blending room, and if you've never been on Cigar Safari, you got to pay attention because there might be some news coming up. But I was in the blending room, and Willie is just sitting there not doing anything, and I walked up to him, and he helped me with my entire blend, and the blend turned out really well, so it was a lot of fun. Willie's a really cool dude, but he's tall, absolutely.
Also, he wants to know he says the beard is looking nice, and he wants to know how the wifey likes it.
The beard is feeling pretty strong. Thank you for pointing that out. The wife likes it. I almost shaved it off, actually, about a month ago, and she talked me out of it, so she really likes it. As long as I keep it from getting unruly is the term that she uses. I found a barber that's near me that'll trim it up nice and tight, and so it's as long as I keep it clean and tight. She's
Nice
good
and
with it. Toit. You got to watch the beard, bro. John, back me up on this. If you've got a beard, you got to get some beard wash and really get in there. And even like the day after IPCPR, she's like, "Don't take this the wrong way, but you really need to shampoo your beard because it still smells like smoke."
Yeah, beard needs more love than your hair. I don't know why on your head because I don't know. It's just
keep it tight.
something about facial hair.
Absolutely.
Apparently, my hair still smells like smoke, so that's what I'm told. It really soaked in there after about 5 straight days of smoke.
My backpack still does.
Bitches.
Anything else, John?
You know that's weird because I thought there was like 3 Rob-centric questions, but apparently there was only one Rob-centric questions. But I'm going to keep rolling here, and you can just stay as long as you need to, or don't need to.
Highlights first.
Let me do my highlights real quick. Is that cool?
Yep.
So for me, I mean, there were some obvious highlights. We got some interviews that we never had before. Interviewing George Padron was, and he was very, very gracious, and he had some meetings and everything going on. I'm sorry, I'm trying to make this camera work. He had some meetings and everything going on, and he was nice enough to accommodate us. It was awesome.
You hear something funny?
We walked
Callaway's
in looking like
farting on her
ruffians.
webcam thing.
She's farting,
Yeah, she's literally farting in her sleep.
and she takes care after her dad.
Apparently.
Hey, Jared, does Logan fart in his sleep?
Oh, God. Non-stop.
Absolutely. So,
It's like
John,
you could just time off it. Every 10 minutes you'll get one.
So, John, when you have children, they're going to snore like freaking banshees. I don't know if banshees snored, but it's like, dude, you were like chopping down bridges or something. It was aggressive the way that you snored. But anyway, my highlights are not you snoring.
I'm going to hop in on that George Padron thing just to add a second.
Yeah.
So just so people know, so Rob and I and Jared went into the Padron booth. And, you know, Padron's a busy booth. These guys are wearing suits. We've never had an interview with Padron before. And we walk up to the guy and we're like, hey, you know, do you have a repo or whatever to talk about the new Padron? And he says, yeah, let me see if George is available. And Rob and I look at each other and go, surely he doesn't mean...
He doesn't mean George.
He doesn't mean George Padron.
There's another George.
Yeah, there's like, you know, George that works in the factory or whatever. And George Padron walks over and says, hey, guys, I heard you need an interview. And it's like, we are not prepared to speak with George Padron, but we will roll with this.
No, I'm going to jump in. We're always prepared. We're prepared to speak with everybody.
Oh, snap.
We're prepared. I was ready to talk to George, and George is awesome. He came out, and it was really, really cool, and I promised him it would be really quick. So it's a short interview. I'll be honest, guys. It's a short one. But, you know, we got as much time as we could, and he was really, really gracious to spend the time with us. It was pretty awesome. And you know, a couple others, obviously chatting with
AJ Fernandez, dude.
Yeah. Oh God, AJ Fernandez. That was fun for me. I was nervous. That was the first interview that we've done that I've been nervous for, because AJ really AJ's the guy who taught me how to love Nicaraguan tobacco. And this is the first interview I've given where we were speaking through a translator. So if you guys watch the video, it might be a little bit choppy and a little bit awkward. Because I wasn't used to that. It's not the translator's fault. It's more my fault than his. But I was just really excited to talk to AJ Fernandez. Talk to Pete Johnson from Tatuaje, another new one for us. I mean, obviously Pete isn't new to the industry, but it was the first time we were able to get some of Pete's time, which was fantastic.
Dion, man.
He was very gracious. Dion is my favorite interview of the entire event. When we got some great interviews. We were sitting over there at the Twin Engine booth with Colin, and we're gonna have Colin on a sharing or pairing show, and we're talking about the Twin Engine coffee, and Dion comes over and says, "Hey, Colin, can I get a cup of coffee?" And I look over and I introduce myself to Dion, and I said, "Hey, do you have a few minutes to talk, you know, for Cigar Federation?" He says, "Absolutely." So we sat down, and I don't know if we posted the interview yet or not, John, but that was he has such a unique perspective on the industry. And I think that's the best interview that we did.
Well, just so people know, we have, and I'll run down some more details later on the show when we don't have Rob, but we've got over 300 gigabytes of content. So
Nice.
gigabytes. So we know you guys are looking for the content, and we're working hard to bring it out to you. We're going to have day one content, which is like 30 interviews rolling out tomorrow and a half. And then we're going to be rolling it out on a daily basis coming out afterwards. But we have a ton of interviews for you guys.
Yeah, there's a ton of content. We, like I said, we got a bunch of great interviews. The interview with Steve Sacco, which is already posted, I think is 16 minutes. And I asked Steve 2 questions. I mean,
17 and a half minutes.
I mean, I can listen to that guy talk about tobacco all day. And he broke down. If you haven't watched it yet, you're doing yourself a disservice. If you're watching this and you haven't watched Steve Sacco, step up your game. But he breaks down every leaf, every single leaf in that blend of his cigar, and why he picked it, and where it came from, and how it impacted the overall blend. It's to listen to him talk about tobacco is pretty impressive. But really, that interview with Dion, it was just a lot of fun because I've never spoken with Dion before, and he doesn't like to get on camera. And he makes some great cigars, and just to listen to the way that he talks about tobacco and how he feels about the blends that he comes out with, and wanting to give them their due credit and due time to really get their legs and be successful is kind of a different take on this industry. So when we get that one up, you guys definitely want to check that one out as well.
All right. Well, I'm going to move on to questions, and Rob, you stay as long as your marital.
I get no highlights.
Oh yeah, sir, bro.
I'll do highlights. I just wanted to get mine out of the way, so because I'm gonna have to bounce at any given moment.
Logan, go.
Well, on that note, I'm gonna bounce out.
All right, see you, Rob.
Eject his ass. Fucking dick.
No, hey, no. Come on now. I had a half an hour.
How much have you drank today?
Let's see.
I mean, I saw you post at least 4 to 5 different drinks. And these aren't beers either. These are like drinks.
Well, no, I actually haven't had that much today. I just finished one, which was really good, and I can't remember what it was called, but it was very good. It's bourbon-based. I had a Tom Collins of the Pool.
I saw that.
Which the girl didn't know how to make, but I kind of walked her through it, and she did a really good job because it wasn't on the list. Before that, you know what? We went to lunch at this place.
Oh, man.
It's called the Bayonne or something like that. And it's on Dauphine Street in the French Quarter, and their lunch 3-course lunch is $25, and it was really, really good. It's actually a really nice place, but it came with 25-cent martinis.
Oh, damn!
So I had 3 Manhattans for 75 cents, and they were actually, I mean, as far as a quarter Manhattan goes, they were pretty good. They weren't the best Manhattans I've ever had, but.
But you're not asking for your quarterback?
Absolutely not. Yeah, it's much better than a phone call 20 years ago.
No shit.
Yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to bounce out, but thanks for checking in on all of our coverage on CigarFederation.com. I apologize that I got to run. I'm going to leave you in John's very capable hands. John, keep these guys in line much better than you kept me in line.
Roger that.
All right, guys, take care. Be good.
Don't get hit by a car.
I'll do my best. We're going to Frenchman Street tonight to check out some music. So
then you're definitely going to get hit by a car.
Hopefully I won't die.
Stay in the crosswalk.
Later.
Later.
Just a reminder to our audience, you're watching the Cigar Federation IPCPR 2015 New Orleans show wrap-up. If you like our content, please go to our YouTube page, like the page video you're watching, and subscribe to get the latest content, because we're going to come out with tons and tons and tons of videos over the next few days. Logan, what was the highlights for the show for you, brother?
Nothing. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, it was definitely a different show. I mean, let me just say, I mean, I know a lot of people were bashing the location, and
tons of questions on.
Yeah, we got some questions on that.
I mean, I'll just let me be the definitive answer.
Just roll with it.
Is that according to IPCPR, this was the highest attended show ever.
Liar, pants on fire!
I don't think they're lying. I think it's hard to quantify it purely. I mean, because if they said a number, I don't think there'd be any way to verify it. I think every year that I've been, it's been 4 years, the trade show floor keeps getting bigger and bigger every year. So even if you have the same amount of people or even a growing amount of people, I mean, how long did it take to walk from, say, like Debonair all the way to Warped? For real.
Dude, so...
Like 5 minutes, maybe?
Yeah,
like 3 minutes?
So for people who don't know, the hall in New Orleans, and we've been to Vegas. Vegas was big. Vegas was overwhelmingly big. And the hall in New Orleans, and we were told this by a cabbie, so, I feel like that's a reputable source.
Two cabbies.
1.2 miles long. And, I mean,
I could
take
see
12
that.
minutes, 12, 13 minutes to walk from one end to the other.
I mean, it was like my dogs were barking after day one.
Well, here's
Jared,
what
how many miles?
I need to look it up, and that's what I'm doing right now. I believe he said it was 1.3 miles, being the longest hallway in the world. And I just looked up, and I haven't found the mileage yet, but it's 1.1 million square feet of continuous exhibit space.
Yeah, that's the other thing. It's not just a matter of
massive.
being 1.3 miles long.
It's long.
This thing is like, it's half a mile wide as well. And, I don't even know how many exhibitors, but there's a lot of walking.
It was a lot of walking. But, I think the trade show, I think what made it the trade show for me is not a good of experience, and I don't think anyone could have foreseen this or foresaw this. But in Vegas, it's very nice to be able to go to the Circle Bar on the Palazzo or the Venetian after the show, or literally go anywhere you freaking want to go and smoke a cigar inside.
Yep.
Anywhere. And it was very tough, with them passing kind of the no smoking laws, in the bars or in anywhere but cigar shops, pretty much. And I will have to say, most restaurants were pretty good where we smoked outside. But honestly, it was like standing. Once you sat outside, you had ball sweat in 2 seconds. And smoking a cigar outside was, and I love smoking cigars, was almost miserable.
I had not something fierce.
It was, yeah. It was. It was almost unbearable where we found a couple of shops, but there's so many places you could go. So the places that you did go were freaking packed, or you had to be outside, which sucked. So I think that, for me, kind of really impacted the entire experience a little bit. But for the actual trade show itself, I think it went off, I think it was well done. It was easy to get to. There was plenty of hotels. Just the smoking thing was really, really impactful, I think.
And we'll get back to some more details as we move on, but we have a ton of questions, and I, for one, intend to sit here until I answer all of them because I'm crazy.
Well, I'm not doing that.
Well, I'm going to do it because I'm crazy. Harley Holmes wants to know, considering IPCPR is generally for retailers, so just for clarification, the IPCPR is absolutely 100% for manufacturers and retailers. That's the entire point. How is social media, bloggers, and the general media accepted on the showroom floor? You guys want to chime in?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. There's 4 different memberships you can have to IPCPR. There's a manufacturer, self-explanatory, retailer, self-explanatory, and then there's media members, and then there's there's supplier members. Supplier members are people that aren't necessarily selling cigars, but are selling ancillary type products. So, for example, like Zycar would be one, or it would be like pipes or whatever, right? And then media members, there is, I think, 57 media badges. Hello, Connor. 57 media badges, and you can apply. You have to apply, and it's a fairly lengthy process. But if you have a site and you meet criteria, you can go to the trade show. But it's pretty tight. If you're just trying to be a consumer and go to the show, it's just not going to happen.
I just want to chime in and say, I think there's this stigma attached to media, and I'm not sure where it comes from, but I have to say that definitely last year and especially this year, the manufacturers are almost too welcoming. There was actually times where we had to say to a manufacturer, "Listen, we'll come back because you've got customers," and they're like, "No, it's cool. Like, come on in," and we're like, listen, we don't want to get in the middle of a transaction, we actually were keeping our interviews short and extracting ourselves from booths because we didn't want to get, and I think part of the problem is that, when we're at Skip Martin's party, and thank you, Skip, for hosting the party, that was really cool. I mentioned that one of the problems of being media is that as media, like just taking us as 4 guys at Cigar Federation, we don't represent Cigar Federation. We represent Cigar Federation and all media. So if we step out of line, that reflects badly on Coop, that reflects badly on Cigar Dojo, that reflects badly on Half Wheel.
Everyone.
And I don't think that's fair. I don't think that our behavior should reflect on the other media companies, but that's the way it is. So I think there's this perhaps extra level that we have to be more cognizant than even maybe the manufacturers, that if our behavior in any way interferes with business, we're extracting ourselves from that situation to make sure it's not viewed in a negative light.
Yeah, and let me add something. You made a good point. Is that, and I'm not going to lie, is that there has been instances in the past. Obviously not this year. Or not to my knowledge last year, but in previous years there's been issues with different bloggers that have reputations of going around trick-or-treating. I can think of a couple that actually weren't at the show this year because they got banned, and other issues. And honestly, it's one of those things where I kind of liken it to the government picking on cigars. Well, who do they pick on, right? They pick on cigars or alcohol. Well, they pick on cigars. Why? It's smaller, right? And they're easier to single out.
Yeah, easy target.
very easy target. I mean, when you're talking of 1,800 people are going and 65 are media members, I mean, it's pretty easy to say. And there's even people that I know and respect that didn't hear me talking, and they're like, "Oh man, the fucking bloggers." And then I walk up, they're like, "Hey, Logan, what's going on?" And and I think it's just one of those things, it's like, oh, fucking Canadians. You know what I mean? It's just everybody blames them. You fucking hate those Canadians, man. Or like the French, you're like a fucking French. It's what people do. But the majority, I mean, I think everyone at the show this year, media member, there was no issues. I know probably 75% of the people. And, every year it gets better. So it's just something we live with. Fucking bloggers.
Any comments, Jared?
I felt we were extremely well received this year compared to others. We were actually, from my nose, hunted down instead of avoided.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I felt it was definitely good, and I didn't hear anybody having issues or anything bad popping up this time.
All right, moving right along, because like I said, I'm staying here until we answer all the questions, whether you guys are or not. I don't care. Matthew Ty wants to know, last year the San Andreas Rappers seemed to be the big thing, and I think still are this year. What was the recurring leaf or other theme in 2015? And I'll weigh in quickly. I don't know if I would call this the year of the Connecticut, but we saw some very surprising releases of Connecticut rappers from Drew Estate, which was a big one. But I think there's no question in my mind the shocker release was Padron with a Connecticut cigar, it could not be
Two cigars back to back, and they don't release a lot of cigars.
Yeah, and that could not be, like you talk about, Drew Estate, that's a big release, but Padron releasing a Connecticut is the furthest release from everything they've been releasing in their entire company history.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I did notice everyone talks about, that, retailers, manufacturers, like, yeah, we do a limited edition Lancero and all this kind of stuff, but it doesn't sell. I saw a lot more Lanceros.
Way more Lanceros.
I was going to say it was the year of the Connecticut and definitely the year of the Lancero. Those things.
I saw a lot more this year.
Every booth gave us one.
Ooh.
Or had one, I should say.
Agreed. The other thing I saw... Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I like Dion's attitude towards Lanceros when Rob was, and you guys will see the interview, but you can't see it yet, suckers. I love Dion's attitude towards Lanceros, and he says, look, we're going to release a Lancero, and I don't care whether you buy it or not. We like it. We're going to release it. We know people are going to buy it. If you don't want to buy it, that's your choice. But we're not going to release a 70 ring gauge or 64 ring gauge cigar. We're just not. That's not our business strategy. I don't like them. We're not going to release them. If you don't like it, too bad. And I respect that because, he's in a place in the industry where he can say, these are the type of cigars we want to release, and I don't care whether they sell or not. I mean, obviously, Illusione, they're going to sell, but he can say, this is what we're releasing, buy it or don't, but this is what we're releasing.
Right. I mean, I think that Dion is in that position. I mean, he's been in the industry as a retailer forever, and as a manufacturer or a brand owner forever too, right? So they're kind of at a point where he kind of just shits gold. So whether he does a freaking whatever, people are going to buy it. You know what I mean? They did the Gigantes last year, which I don't remember. I think it's like 6x56, I think, or 54. So it's a fairly big cigar for them. But people bought it regardless, and it wasn't my favorite cigar, and it was too big, but whatever. I mean, there's a different stake for someone like a Dissident, that's not an Illusione, that they kind of have to go with what the market's going to say, but or what the market's going to demand. One thing I would say that I noticed as a trend, I felt like everyone at the trade show every year, has a new cigar, a limited release. I felt like there was a lot of people that we walked into and were like, what are you doing this year? And they're like, nothing. Like, what cigar are you releasing?
Nothing. Quite a few.
Like, I mean, they might have been doing like a line extension, like Skip Martin, the prime example. No new cigar, just a line extension in a Petite Corona. Well, it's Petite Corona, actually. But
he's also got a Lancero.
And what?
He's got his Aquitaine Lancero that he's releasing as the store exclusives.
Yeah, they've been doing those for like 5 years.
I'm just saying, Lancero. They've
been doing those for a while. But anyway, there's a lot of people that didn't do anything, and I think the FDA is weighing pretty heavily on people's minds. Because if you go out and sink, a couple $100,000 into a new run of a product, if Dave drops the hammer, well, shit, you might be sitting on a couple $100,000 of cash, which sucks balls. That's another thing that I kind of noticed. But that was just me.
I'm going to weigh in on a audience question here before we get to the rest of the questions, because, like I said, I'm staying here all night if I have to.
I got 15 minutes.
Whatever. Harley Holmes wants to know, has the CMA, Cigar Media Association, helped with acceptance and I'm assuming he means with acceptance at the IPCPR?
You want me to answer that?
Please.
Yes.
I mean, to a certain extent. I mean, right now the CMA, was founded by Coop, Seth, myself, and several others. But I'm no longer on the board, and I believe that Seth is no longer on the board either. But the idea behind CMA is just to let manufacturers know there's a much higher set of standards to be in CMA than there is just to be accepted at IPCPR. And it's still in its kind of fledgling, infancy steps. It's only been around a little over a year. But, I had a couple interesting talks with, IPCPR and some of their executive staff on, how CMA can play a bigger role. I think what CMA has done, which has been good, is brought more focus to people who do cigar media or, do blogging and stuff like that, and just to really show that, there are good guys out there. And there's been definitely a concerted effort to, share information and stuff like that. So, has it helped, Joe Blow, who's joined CMA, get more recognized? I wouldn't say that necessarily, or be accepted. But I will say that the people that are in it, it has kind of helped them grow and get more information and stories and stuff like that. So it's been a good thing, but there's still a long way to go.
All right, rolling right along because we're getting through these questions. Matthew Ty wants to know, was it actually a pain in the ass to have the event in New Orleans, or was all the pre-show drama about that blown out of proportion? We kind of touched on that a little bit.
Yeah, we kind of did. Kind of both.
I mean, it's a direct flight from Austin either way. We stayed just about as far away. It's just, honestly, the smoking ban really kind of fucks shit up. If you can't smoke inside New Orleans, it fucks it up.
Smoke in the convention center in the AC or smoke outside in the 100-degree, 100% humidity, which I live in. Awful. It's hot and it's humid. New Orleans is worse. It feels like winter here compared to New Orleans.
Yeah, it's cold up here right now. Just weighing in, one of the things I think that was positive about New Orleans was we were super, super close to the convention center. Most people are super close to the convention center, which is not necessarily an option in Vegas. Yeah. That was really convenient from a, paying $300 over 4 days for taxi perspective.
I bet you I paid that.
Yeah, I'm sure you paid that. You love your Ubers.
Ubers.
Do we see it go? I think as a result, I can't see the show going back to New Orleans, quite frankly.
It's in Vegas for the next 3 years.
Yeah, at least.
With an option for an additional 2. So I see the show being in Vegas for the foreseeable future.
There you go. Moving right along, Bob Dog, what do you think was the biggest release to hit the trade show? You guys want to weigh in first?
Yeah. In terms of just people signing, I mean, like, granted, I don't know specifics on, what, I know that it was either General Tatis did the Henry Clay tattoo with Pete, and I know that sold out, but I don't have a lot of insight into those. But, I mean, the biggest 2, have to be, I think, hands down, Foundation with Nick Melillo, or, I don't even know what Steve Saka's company is. Was it Dunbarton Cigar Company and Trust or something? Yeah. But, I mean, those booths were consistently swamped. When I talked to both those individuals, they said that they've exceeded their wildest expectations. And these are pretty seasoned guys, which either they have very low expectations or they really just kicked ass. So, I mean, I know both of them are writing orders all the way up until the very last day, which is actually very uncommon, and actually after the show ended. So, I mean, those would be the 2, I think.
Any comments, Jared?
Well, I know you're going to comment on one because you got Hamlet, who was quite the scene at the show as well. And I know that Kyle was taking orders and talking to customers all the way up until 1 p.m. when they shut the lights off at the show on Tuesday. So I know he was doing quite well as well also.
And, just props to Kyle because we went to his booth last year, and he was in not a great location last year. We were one of the we kind of walked into his booth not knowing who he was, and here we are a year later, and we had to schedule an interview with him because he was that busy, and it's like that's good success if 2 years into the show people can't even get in to talk to you because you're that busy, and props to him. Absolutely, I think and we posted the Hamlet interview today, and as it stands right now, it's like one of our highest viewed videos. People are just going nuts over it. I think it'll be interesting to see over the coming years what Hamlet does in the industry. I think that'll be one of the guys to watch in the next few years.
I think you're going to be able to smoke that Culebra he rolled.
I don't think maybe Logan can handle a 4-foot Culebra because he's got the liver for it, but I don't think I could take it. I think it'd kill me.
I don't got enough time for it. Take me weeks.
Bitches.
Irate base Mickey wants to know, heard there was some shenanigans that took place at Romacraft's booth. Care to elaborate? The answer to that is no.
What shenanigans?
I don't know. There's whatever.
I don't know either. I missed it.
Anyways, moving right along.
I have no idea.
We're just rolling. Seems you guys are pretty accepted more at the IPCPR with Eric and Nestor kind of taking the mic and doing their thing. In fact, other than Half Wheel, I haven't seen any coverage. Was media press not as active this year? First of all, I'd just like to say Coop's coverage is insane. If you haven't checked out Cigar Coop, check it out. Coop's coverage could be, in my opinion, some of the best coverage. Not to knock Half Wheel, but Coop has crazy coverage coming out. We are accepted, I think, because Logan and some of the other guys have good relationships with the manufacturers, and Nestor is always welcoming to us. Last year, if you guys watched coverage, he grabbed the mic last year and just kind of rolled with it. That's just the kind of guy he is. You guys want to weigh in?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it was a thing that we were more accepted by people grabbing the mic. I mean, there's some people like Robert Caldwell, he just grabbed the mic and went because that's more their style, you know what I mean? But I think Jared and John both hit it on the head when, the majority of the media people that are walking around, it's not, hey, come into my booth, hey, I got people in here, but hey, come on, sit down, smoke with me, hang out, let's do the interview, hey, let me introduce you to this person. Most people don't get that kind of reception. But, I mean, with us, there was points where, like, we were trying to go to XYZ booth because we had to interview this person because we set up a time. We're on the way there, I dreaded walking across the floor, not because I'm trying to say I'm so popular, but we'd get pulled in, like, to 5 other booths, you know what I mean?
Yes.
And I think it's just a combination of, Cigar Federation's been around, for 4 years, and, Rob and I have been around. This is my 4th trade show. I mean, people, it's easier to work with people you know.
Right. They know what you're doing. They know what you're looking for.
Yeah, 100% props. I don't think we've ever really had a negative interaction with the manufacturers. They're super, like I said, I think almost too accommodating because we have to be really cognizant about our perception. It's not even what's happening; it's the perception of what's happening. So even to the point where we're being handled, and there were several occasions where we were being handed samples, and we had to say no because we had already addressed that, and because there's this perception of bloggers are greedy, bloggers just want cigars. Listen, just for all the people who may be watching this later, if I wanted cigar samples, I would not spend $1,000 out of my pocket to fly to New Orleans to get cigar samples. I assure you that I could get cigar samples for free for less than $1,000. I do not go to New Orleans or the IPCPR to get cigar samples.
No.
Fuck that. Anyways.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, it's samples I would be mailed really, honestly, anyways.
Yeah.
I just happen to be there, so.
So again, just rolling. Irate Base Mickey wants to know, this is your first time in New Orleans? Yes for me, and yes for Jared and Rob, all of us. What do you think of the city? Did you check out Bourbon Street, French Quarter, Pat O'Brien's? Holy. Other than Logan, did you see any boobies?
When did I see boobies?
When did you see boobies? I don't know.
I don't know. Probably did. I've been to New Orleans before, and I mean, I like it, but that's back when I was on the sauce. So I don't really drink anymore. So, I mean, Bourbon Street just smells like the bubonic plague.
Yeah,
if you're into that kind of stuff, then it's a good time. The restaurants were great, but honestly, we didn't see, yeah, and the food was great. We just didn't see, we didn't get out too much because literally it was trade show, let's just say 8 to 5 or 6. We'd get back. and then it would be, okay, let's go eat, do a shower, do whatever, and then it'd be like, okay, we're processing videos, we're writing reviews, we're getting ready for tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, we skipped lunch every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Moving right along. Bob Dog, just wanted to say I got a big kick out of the interview with Logan and Eric. I think we all did. I think we already touched on that. That was a great interview. Logan played the straight man beautifully, and Eric was hilarious.
I should have said dude. Well, go ahead, Eric, Jared.
I was going to say, if we could have recorded the opposite direction, the behind the scenes with the rest of the Espinosa group and all of us watching that interview would have been just about
great. Would have been just as
popular. Yeah.
I couldn't keep the camera straight. I was laughing so hard.
Nelson was losing it. He barely was able to stand up.
Only thing, there's two things I wish I could change about that interview. Is one, I wish I would have said bro like 15 times, because Eric says bro like 100 times.
Bro, yep.
And honestly, I was so I don't know if you can tell. You probably can't tell, but I was so nervous. I don't get nervous for any of that, but I was so nervous because he was asking me about the product. So like I'm racking my brain to try to like pronounce these cigars right, remember what they're releasing. You know, I've read the press release, but I'm just racking my brain and playing it off so I don't look like a complete asshole. I mean, it would have been horrible if I'd have walked in and they would have done it, or they said, okay, what are you releasing? I'm like, I have no fucking clue.
You were pretty damn close. I got to give that to you.
I don't remember the Vitolas. I mean, but I knew all the cigars. I didn't pronounce them right. But
you can't pronounce anything in Spanish.
No, I can't at all. You know that.
Especial.
Yeah, I was like, special.
The special. No, I heard it was called the special. That's it. It's a special.
I heard that the blend was the same. I heard it was different.
Tim Bako in Shameless Self-Promotion wants to know who made the best environmental control systems at IPCPR. Obviously, that's Havana
Cigar
Controls.
Oasis.
Or sorry,
Just
Cigar.
kidding.
That's right. Just kidding. No, Havana Controls.
Humidors. Jeez.
Havana Controls interview will be up in a couple days. For those who aren't aware, Havana Controls makes a very, very cool, very technical, specialized system to the point where other manufacturers were actually approaching him at the trade show asking, what the heck is this and what is the science behind it? So look for that in the next coming days. It's going to be very cool. Moving right along, Jason Myers, having been to the IPCPR in Vegas and New Orleans, what venue do you think is better suited to the event? I'll weigh in first. I think Vegas is better suited because maybe I don't have a better. Vegas is better suited because it's a smoking town. There's way more activity, as Logan already mentioned. The Circle Bar made it much, much easier for us to have discussions and meetings with manufacturers and other industry people. New Orleans is a cooler town, but as a part of media, again, we don't get to do a lot of that stuff. So really, if we don't get to do it throughout the day, it's not happening because we're just too busy working.
Yeah, I'm going to jump because I'll take the, I live in humidity, so I'll take the dry heat of Vegas any day. Because it may be hot outside, but it doesn't just kill you like the New Orleans humidity and heat did. And Vegas really kept everybody a lot more connected.
I would agree.
We were all together. You'd go from the trade show, you'd walk through the Bellagio or the Venetian, and you'd meet the Palazzo. There you go. We went to the party over there. But everybody was closer together, everybody stayed together, and we sat and hang out with the retailers and manufacturers a lot during Vegas. New Orleans, after the show ended, everybody split, and that was pretty much it. You didn't run into very many people otherwise, and that was the biggest downside to that one.
I mean, I think a thing is that I think it was. I applaud the IPCPR because I think ultimately you do need to mix it up, right? I mean, at the end of the day, even though retailers are there, to buy cigars and manufacturers are there to sell cigars, it is kind of a vacation, right? I can't count, how many people are. I mean, Rob being one, but others that go and then they stay for a couple of days afterwards, to kind of vacation, right? And I think that's a much better suited in New Orleans, and I think mixing up the trade show at different locations, there's guys that live up in New York and, maybe they don't want to go all the way up to the West Coast because it's a 4-hour flight. I mean, I don't really know. I think mixing it up, you're going to get different people and stuff like that. I think that's great. And I think, honestly, I think New Orleans would have been great had people been able to foresee that, the smoking ban, no one could have predicted that. You know what I mean? But I don't think that going back out to Vegas for the next 5 years is necessarily the answer. I mean, I think in trade shows, any trade show I've been to for the real job, it's typically never in the same city, every year. I personally would love to see it in Miami or Tampa. What more cigar place can you get than Miami? You know what I mean? I think that would be cool. Or, mix it up somewhere in Pennsylvania. Just mix it up. But I think Vegas over New Orleans because of the smoking man.
Agreed.
Boom. Logan, this is a question for you. Miguel Rocha
Yes.
wants to know, was getting the mic snatched out of your hand by Caldwell as scary as it looked?
He's a very intimidating dude. I'm not going to lie. Like, he's a really cool dude, but it's one of those guys where he is so passionate and he is so, like, when we talked for how long before we did the interview?
Like
and it
20
was
minutes?
just some of the craziest shit I ever heard. And it's not intimidating, but you kind of know it's coming, but still getting the mic grabbed out of your hand is still kind of, because you're like, what the fuck is this guy going to do?
Boom. Jason Myers, do you think the IPCPR will continue to be a worthwhile event for retailers and manufacturers? I'll weigh in first. We got a chance to talk to a lot of manufacturers and retailers off the record, and honestly, although it may not seem like maybe the most successful event, there was lots of manufacturers who said that they sold out. There was guys who said they sold out on day one, and they said they'd never seen that before. Some of the booths said day one was a little slow, and by day two, they couldn't keep up. So I think Logan touched on this earlier in the show, that there's a perception because the place is bigger that it's not as busy. But when we're talking to manufacturers, the orders are there, and that at the end of the day, I think, is what's going to keep the show going.
Yeah, I'll add a couple of things. Like, and this is probably a perspective that you don't get, a normal consumer won't get, but I'll go ahead and give it to you. So, I think that, at the end of the day, a lot of people don't know this, but I think IPCPR, a lot of people complain that people don't go to the show and don't have to because let's just be honest, people swing deals at the show, buy so much, get a free this or whatever, right? And manufacturers, a majority of them will offer the show to the people that aren't attending, and I think that's a double-edged sword if you take that away because you're not going to sell as much business. But the good thing is the people that are there to buy. There's no tire kickers when you fly and you spend that money to go out there. You're there to buy freaking cigars. And there's no better opportunity, at least think from a manufacturer standpoint, to be able to get in front of customers, as many customers as they can, be able to sell them on their product, and get the contacts, get relationships, and sell cigars. Now, should more retailers attend? Of course. But there's a lot of things people can do, IPCPR and manufacturers can do. Not release their show specials. Release, for example, like how Warp did last year, with you had to be at the trade show to order the Unico. Do things like that require and force people to come to the show.
Boom. All right, powering through. Next up, Jason Myers, was there anything at the show that surprised you in a good way? For example, are you now excited about a new cigar company that was not on your radar before? I hate to answer that question as a no. For me, part of that is because we can't hit every booth, and we're going to be, whether we have 50, if we have 15 guys, we're still going to run out of time because we're just you can't hit everything. There's lots of cigars that I'm excited about. I'm excited about the new DeCrossier 512. I think we all universally smoked the Victor Vitale Connecticut, and we were blown away. It's a Connecticut, but all of us couldn't stop talking about it. Obviously, Nick Melilo's stuff is going to be interesting. Saka, I'm obviously pumped for Hamlet because I'm a fanboy. There's a long list of cigars, and I've got some of them that we're going to be reviewing over the coming months that we're excited for. Does anything specific stand out? It's tough to process. Like we're 2 days after the show, and I'm still processing the content in my brain. Guys, have any input?
Question?
I'm trying to think if I got anything specific. I got stuff I may be more excited for than I was before. But any new one, I'm
Well,
not.
I mean, that's what he's asking. So is there something you're more excited about than before?
I've become a lot more excited, honestly, about Akil's blends. Those Regis cigars have just really started hitting me, and I really like his blending a lot more than I used to. So I'm excited to, well, like I smoked that USA Exclusivo White. That cigar is great. I didn't know I was going to like it that much. So
That's a
I'd
good
say
cigar.
I'm more excited for Regis than I used to be, now that he's on my radar like this.
Yeah, I mean, there's some things obviously I can't talk about because maybe you noticed I wasn't in a lot of videos. It wasn't that I was back at the hotel spanking my pud or, just out smoking cigars, just chilling.
Although we
Like I
can't
was,
prove it.
huh?
It's
You can't prove
MFN.
it.
Can't prove you weren't.
It's MFN CEO making shit happen behind the scenes.
So
You
there
don't
was
know
a
that
lot.
shit for 6 months.
You might not know it for a year, but there was a lot of good stuff. That some conversations that I had on some stuff that might be coming up that, definitely got me more excited about brands. But, really at the end of the day, like, when you do this like we do, like, you kind of know, right? Like, so I wouldn't say that there was something that was more exciting or something I'm more excited about. Uh, Other than, it was good. One thing I will say is that, with the pipe show, I mean, this came down to like the last hour of the show. We didn't, other than that one pipe interviewer, that poor sweet lady from McClellan to Pipe Tobacco, I just totally intimidated the shit out of that lady. But
By the way, just to step in there, that interview, people went nuts over that. There's comments on YouTube where people are like, I need to check out McClellan Tobacco because she seems really interesting and that interview was interesting. And I could not believe the reception
shocking.
It is shocking.
because we didn't talk about shit. We talked
Yeah.
more. We talked more about her new product off the camera, which was really interesting, than actually on the camera, which is so strange to me. But
It just goes to show you the pipe community that's out there is really engaged.
it's very true. I would 100% agree with that. I think one thing I was excited about is, I know cigars pretty well, but I don't know pipe tobacco, and being able to see that, Aragno Aragno Tobacco Company actually distributes, Esoterica and Ratares and other stuff, right? Or, Laudisi is actually Savinelli and Rossi and, GLPs and all this kind of stuff. So being able to see that was exciting for me because now I know, like, oh, I can go talk to this guy about this, or I can talk to this guy about this. So making those connections was very nice and got me really excited for good things upcoming on Pipe Dummies.
All right, Scott Wilson. Logan, can you elaborate on anything you're working on for all of us on day 2? And just for the record, Logan was busting his hump all 4 days. It was not day 2. It was
the entire time.
We would get back to the hotel, and he would show up an hour later. So they're like
Sometimes
was working.
2.
Yeah.
Sometimes 2. I could share some stuff. I mean, I had a lot of good conversation. There's a lot of stuff I can't share, but there's a couple of big things in the works, obviously, that one thing you guys will probably hear about in the next 2 weeks, which is going to be freaking amazing. Some other stuff, community cigar, that kind of stuff. But probably the biggest thing I can share is that, obviously with SigFed has a store. And right now, I've been pressuring Delaware Cigar very hard to go out and, order XYZ brands, right? So if you've ever thought that, oh, SigFed store is great, but it doesn't carry XYZ or this or that, well, that's about all to change. So
Hashtag breaking news.
breaking news. So I mean, anything that you could possibly want that, think, Nick's new cigar, think Saka's new cigar, think, the sampler from Roma Craft. I mean, think about everything from Atelier, Tatuaje, Surrogates, think Crux, think everything you could possibly want. The SigFed store will have it.
Boom. All right. Jason Myers, did you have the chance to look at any of the pipe and pipe tobacco exhibitors? Logan, you want to?
The last hour of the show.
Yeah.
The last hour of the show, we were planning on doing video, and John had to catch a flight, so a lot of it was walking around. I mean, next year, next year we're going to make a concerted effort to go out and do a lot more of it, especially based on the feedback from that one interview that we did. But, the reception was great. I mean, we got a lot of contacts I think we can bring on Pipe Dummies, from Lane and other places, right? So, I think the biggest lesson learned for me in this trade show is that, we, with 4 guys, well, technically 3 guys, 1 crew, we got almost as many interviews, but they were way more quality. I mean, if you listen to our interviews, it sounds like we're sitting in like a sound booth, right? Like compared to the previous year, and I got to give John all props for making all that happen, all the tireless hours he spent doing that. But I think the biggest lesson learned is that we do need another crew, or we need to have someone that's, helping us, but then spending half a day off the floor processing stuff, so when we get back, things are ready to go. So we can get more, of the off-beaten companies, because there's a lot of companies, man, we didn't even cover. Not because we couldn't have, it just purely was a function of time. And I think if we have another crew, it'd be much better.
I can speak to that a little bit. I think it's a double-edged sword because, and Logan hit the nail on the head. I mean, if you guys can conceptualize 300 gigabytes of content, my laptop ran out of drive space, and I had to free drive space because we were generating that much content. And really, at this point, we need like 2 guys in a hotel room from 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. or 10 p.m., and all we're doing is feeding them content, like a friggin' NFL crew, where we're feeding them pictures and video, and they're just pumping it out as fast as we can generate it. And the double-edged sword there is that if we had that, we're just going to pump out more content until they're saturated, because we were flat out this show, and we did good content last year, but I think this year every single interview we did was 100%, and I'm really proud of everyone, all the content we put out this year. And the challenge is always, everyone, it's like a company, they want more and more and better and better.
Yeah.
There's going to be a limit to that. There's only so much we can do, and if we add on an extra crew, that's great, until the point now we're doing 120 interviews versus 70, and there's a diminishing return on that.
Yeah.
Anyways, we'll talk about that later if anyone sticks around. Douglas Shepard, I know you guys didn't go crazy with the bars, but honestly favorite bar, especially since you're the first time at some of you at New Orleans. I want to talk to this for a second. I would love the opportunity to go out after the show, because I think it's a rare opportunity for us to, because we do have relationships, and sometimes good relationships, with a lot of these manufacturers and retailers. We know these guys. We've hung out with these guys. We've had dinner with these guys. We've gone to their factories. We've had dinner with these guys in their homes. So in a lot of cases, it's personal relationships. It would be great to have more time to go out and hobnob, but to be honest, we're generating so much content that we don't really have the opportunity to hobnob. So I don't have a favorite bar because we didn't really have a chance to go to bars. I would love that opportunity, but that cuts into time we're generating content for you guys.
I think that goes back to why we need another crew, though, is that, I think that you're right. I mean, there's a lot of companies we don't need to necessarily interview, but at the same time, like, and a retailer, a manufacturer, a couple actually put it to me this way. They're like, listen, like, we sold more than we've ever sold before, which is great, but last year, 20% of our orders came off the show floor. People had a chance to smoke, we were able to go to dinner, we were able to sit down over a cigar and place an order. He goes, that wasn't the case this year. He goes, we placed no orders outside of the trade show floor. And I think there's something to be said about being able to go to parties and rub elbows and hang out, outside of work hours with the cigar industry.
I mean, does that mean, maybe the 4th day needs to be a full day and the 5th day is a pack-up day and there's no actual show? I don't know, because, I don't know, but I think for manufacturers and certainly for media people, we can't get more efficient at what we're doing, and the only way to generate more is to add more days. Is that feasible? I don't know. I don't speak to that level, but we'll see what happens in the coming year. We're just going to keep rolling. Jay Zarota, any surprises, anything new that blew you away? We kind of talked about that a little bit. Jared, do you have any thoughts on that?
New surprises that blew me away. I have to think for a second on that one, honestly.
Logan?
Logan's got something to jump right in.
I mean, I will say, I smoked a fair amount of cigars. A lot of the ones that are the new ones, I didn't really smoke, because obviously we're saving those for review. But, one cigar that was kind of surprising to me, I was able to smoke, one of Nick Melillo's new cigars, the Foundation. I don't know how to say it. It's the Wise Man or whatever. But it was very surprising. I mean, it was a great cigar, but it's not what I was expecting from Nick after he's blended, Unico after Unico and Liga Privada. You expect that kind of dirty, earthy, cigar that you get from the Liga Privada and Unico stuff. This was definitely not it. It was a cigar. I mean, it was fairly strong in terms of strength, but body-wise, it was actually not. I mean, it was medium-bodied, maybe at best, but with a ton of flavor. And it was a great cigar. It just kind of took me by surprise because it wasn't necessarily what I expected from Nick.
You guys want to stay tuned to all the cigar reviews we're going to come up with in the next couple months because it's going to be hopping. Douglas Shepard, how do you guys enjoy the local cuisine? I mean, you did get some legit Creole. Again, we spent majority of our time either on the trade show or at the hotel. I think one of the few places that I think we really enjoyed was Felix's, which was it was on Bourbon Street. It was good. They had shrimp po' boys, and I'll tell you what, those
fire-grilled
oysters.
Baked oysters were
char-grilled.
delicious.
Those are legit.
Nuts.
All right, giddy up.
We got 5 minutes, and I gotta go.
Boom. Matthew Ty, I'm not a pipe smoker, but I know a popular facet in the tobacco industry. Have you seen the pipe hardware and tobacco footprint gain or lose ground at IPCPR over the last few years? That's a good question. I don't know. Logan?
I mean, from a general industry perspective, I think that pipes are growing, right? Like, if you look back a year ago and you would have said, hey, Cigar Federation store would be getting a lot more pipe tobacco, we'd be doing a pipe show, our members would be smoking pipes. Hell, I'd be fucking smoking a pipe. I mean, I'm like 35 pounds of pipe tobacco in at this point, and I think overall that it's a pretty seamless transition from a cigar smoker to smoke pipe and a pipe smoker to smoke cigars. So I don't think it's growing because I think the barrier to entry to put out a pipe tobacco or start your own pipe tobacco company is much more difficult. I mean, fuck, if you can anyone in the industry and you've got a couple $100,000 or $50,000, you can go out and start a cigar line. That's not fucking difficult. I think it's much harder to do pipes, but all the major brands have been represented at the trade show, and IPCPR stands for International Premium Cigar and Pipe Retailer Conference. So any premium pipe tobacco, whether it be pipe tobacco or cigar tobacco, all of it's represented, and I don't think the footprint for pipes has decreased at all. If anything, it's maybe grown.
Boom. Stefan Lindblad, sorry if this is already asked, whose idea was it for the Espinosa interview? That was all Eric, 100%.
100%.
Matthew Ty, of all the brands or companies do you think is going to have a great year? On the flip side, what company or brand do you think you're struggling? I won't answer the second part of that because I don't think that's fair. Who's going to have a great year? I don't know, man. It's a crapshoot. There's a lot of stuff coming out this year that could really, really impact the cigar industry.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think it's going to be. I think they'll be the traditional favorites, right? I think Dion stuff will do great. I think the new, Atelier, La Racine will do fine. Like, I think the new La Mission, Atelier will be fine. It will do well. I think Warp stuff will do fine. I don't think there's going to be anyone that's, other than Nick and, Saka, I think they're going to have breakout years. But I don't know. I don't know. I think everyone's going to do kind of like what I would expect.
4 questions left. Bob Dog, how intense was the drama about the split from Robert Medeiros and Cabana Cam by Hirochi Urbano La Corona Factory? I think, if you want the lowdown on that, check out Cigar Coop's post on that, because I think that really addresses, because it's involved, it's complex, but I think Coop's post really touches on all the points and kind of, does a good job of laying it out. That'd be my recommendation. All right, Base, I heard that this year's IPCPR is kind of empty with retailers and companies. Do you think the IPCPR is slowly dying, or is it the location?
No.
We already addressed that. No, it's not dying. Definitely there were some retailers that probably should have attended the event but didn't because of the smoking ban, and that's their right. Is it dying? No. No. It's only gaining in size, and it's going to get to the point where only a few places in the United States are going to be able to host it. It's that big. RA-based Mickey, didn't see any coverage on El Cedro, or maybe it was just hadn't been uploaded. Get off my balls, Mickey. We have a great interview with Cesar. It was one of the great interviews, and it'll be coming. I think that was a day 2 interview. Do you guys remember? I think it was day 2.
Day 1 or day 2.
Day 2. So
I
that'll
did
be
it.
coming. Yeah, you did it. So it'll be coming out over the next couple days for sure. And it is a good interview. Quality information. Last question, and then we can wrap it up. Adam Schwartzberg wants to know, what local shops did you make it to? I think we only made it to 1.
Tobacco Exchange.
Yeah, tobacco.
Because it was off the beaten path and no one was there.
And it was air conditioned.
Very air conditioned. It was nice.
They had a good selection.
They did.
Got
It was a
got
good
some.
shop.
Yeah, got some. So, maybe we'll just wrap it up because we're running late and everyone's got to get back to their lives. Let's go, Jared. Final thoughts on IPCPR 2015.
Well, it was a great show. NOLA had some downsides, mostly having to sweat your ass off to have a cigar if it wasn't inside the convention center. I think the biggest drawback to the whole show was just the lack of community outside the show, at least for us. It may have partly been that in Vegas we can much more easily get together than we were able to in New Orleans, but then we were just so slammed with work that by the time we pumped out enough data for the day, it was 12, 1, 2 in the morning, and it was just move on again. But, I mean, like I said, it's still fun. So we do this out of our pockets. It's our money for our funds. So, I mean, it's obviously worth it if we keep doing it year after year.
Logan?
I mean, all in all, it's a great show. I mean, look for the coverage and look for some really cool shit to start trickling out outside of that content here, starting in about 2 weeks and into the next 6 months.
I'll finish up with, this was definitely our best show. We were a little tight on bodies, but I think we all pulled together, and this was definitely our most efficient show. Logan touched on it, that from a technical standpoint, I don't know that we could really improve our game. Our video was on point. Our interviews were on point. We could put out more quantity, but our quality, I think, is capped out, and we've got a lot of great feedback from you guys watching the content. We appreciate that. We appreciate your comments. It might not seem like a big thing, but liking our videos and subscribing to YouTube makes a huge difference to us. Thanks to all the podcast listeners out there. You guys are just killing the podcast. We haven't seen numbers like this. Like, even when we had JD on podcast, the amount of consumption you guys are eating up that podcast is just, it's insane. So we're going to spend probably the next few days organizing our content, our reviews and stuff coming up for the next few months. We're going to get those videos and booth write-ups over the next 4 or 5 days. But we're all pretty tired from the show, so we appreciate your patience with us.
Yeah.
Boom. All right. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in to the Cigar Federation IPCPR 2015 content. To all the old Fed heads and all the new Fed heads, we appreciate you guys subscribing to our content, and we appreciate the love. We do it because we're passionate about the industry. Like Jared said, this is coming out of our pocket. None of us are driving. Hell, I don't even drive a Beamer. Like, we're not getting rich off this. We do this because we love it. So thanks. Keep tuning in. Make sure to pay attention to the events coming up. We're going to have some great guests coming up on Cigar Chat, sharing our pairings, pipe dummies. It's actually only going to step up. We've got some exciting, probably some exciting news in the coming weeks on that too. So stay tuned. Boom.
Later, bitches.
Boom.
Later.
Out.